Hey, Bulls and Bears, welcome to another update. Today is Monday. It's January 23rd, 2023. And as usual, we have a lot of financial economic news to get caught up on. Your money, my money, our money. And what is money? Nowadays, it's survival. Without money, you're going to be living out in the wilderness somewhere, in a sidewalk, in the woods. So we have to keep an eye on the economy, the financial system, the coming economic turmoil is coming down the road. We're headed towards a cliff. We don't know when that cliff's going to get here, but we do know we better buckle up and prepare. And I'm coming at you here from the left coast of the bankrupt states of America. And I say bankrupt because basically we have to continually go into more and more debt just to keep the entire country from imploding and get shoved into poverty for most people. And I think this sums it up pretty well. Imagine you've maxed out all of your credit cards and you no longer make enough money to meet your minimum monthly interest payment. That's where the United States is right now with this $31.38 trillion debt. We can no longer even pay the interest on the debt. That is the definition of a bankrupt country. But because we create our own currency out of thin air in unlimited amounts, we can keep on printing and printing and printing, taking on more debt to pay the interest, but it's never going to be paid off because we can't even pay off the interest on the debt. So basically, we're just pretending that we're solvent as a country, and that's where we're at. So, how is this going to end? I don't think it's going to end well. And as we try to uncover things here, we don't know exactly how it's going to end, but we do know that we better prepare for some big changes coming down the road. And I think within 2 years, we're going to see an entirely different financial structure. Now, there was a point where a lot of people thought that deficits don't matter, debt doesn't matter, because the Fed, they could just come in, create money, and hand it out to people. And that way, if the cost of living goes up, it doesn't matter because they can just hand out money to people. Well, now we're finding out people aren't getting enough handouts or payouts to keep up with this cost of living. Sure, there were a lot of stimulus checks handed out in 2020 and a little bit also in 2021. But as you can see, there's not going to be any superhero coming in. Even if they could come in and create enough money and send out more stimulus checks, that still wouldn't fix the problem. Stimulus checks and money given out to people doesn't grow food. It doesn't um, create eggs. It doesn't egg farms. Sure, if they use the money for those things, then we'd have an abundance of food, and therefore food prices would be much lower. But they're not doing that. They're not helping the production side of things. They're just giving money towards the consumption side. So you have consumption and production. When you throw money at the consumption side, but don't do anything about the production side, meaning there's not enough things to buy, but a lot of people to buy them, prices are just going to continue to skyrocket. And we see that a lot of this debt, not all of it, but a lot of it is from that type of thinking where you just throw money at the consumption side, but you don't do anything about the production side. So everything is out of whack, off balance, and this is not going to be fixed by any of these quote unquote leaders that we have. And we're going to go through a lot of economic turmoil. But let's get into some other news today. For people out there saying that I'm doom and gloom, that I'm negative, that I never have any good news, you're wrong. Here's some good news. Natural gas prices have crashed 50% in less than a month. So we have another area of deflation. Hooray, hooray. In less than a month, a big crash, 50%. And now the CEO from this energy company is ringing the alarm. Oh no, this is bad. The profits might decline for this energy company. Oh no, what are we going to do? So, good news for consumers is bad news for these companies. Prices are crashing, and it's too bad that prices didn't crash before winter got here so people could save more money on their energy bill. So, if you have a gas bill, if it's natural gas, hopefully you'll see your bill go down. If your bill doesn't go down, your energy company is likely gouging you. Now, how many households use natural gas versus alternate sources of heating energy, electricity, and oil, etc.? And I've got a chart here for you. This gives us all the different types of heating energy, the breakdown of each one, right? So we got natural gas here, kerosene, even coal over here. Now, this goes back to 1950. Back then, a majority was coal, and natural gas was only about 11.2 million households. Fast forward here to modern times, we'll scroll down here. Keep an eye on this column right here. And the number in this column, scroll down. Okay, this goes up to 2009. Let's see if we have anything more recent. Okay, so not completely updated, but we do see that natural gas is the biggest source right now. All right, so I didn't like that layout there. It was kind of complicated and only went up to 2009. Here's something a little more recent, and it's still accurate as of today. But this is the nicest chart I could find here. So natural gas here in the green, and you can look in all different regions. And out west here, we see natural gas is majority. Also up there in the Midwest, we see in the Northeast, natural gas dominates. But in the South, it's primarily electricity, right? So people in these three regions are likely going to see, hopefully, if unless your um, utility company is completely gouging, you should see heating prices come down if you use natural gas. All right, and let's go up and bring it up on a chart right here. We see the big spikes between $8 and $9 a gallon throughout 2022. But more recently here, and actually as of today, January 23rd, down to about $3.42. So there is some good news. For some people, not all people. I mean, electricity prices aren't crashing. And still talking about natural gas prices here, let's go out to a maximum chart. It looks like 5 years now, back to 2018. And we saw the big spike up. Now we're down to levels that we haven't seen since mid 2021 for natural gas prices. All right, now switching gears a little bit here. For those of you that thought the economy was going to start recovering and that layoffs and all these announcements of layoffs were going to stop, no one here thought that, right? Spotify, one of the latest announcements, one of the big announcements here, 6% of its entire workforce. Recent news here as people continue to pull back on non discretionary and entertainment spending. Yes, the sports stadiums are still packed. I think that sports games are going to be one of the last things that people will stop doing. All right, but let's talk about the magnitude of this particular round of layoffs here for Spotify. I say this particular because I think there's going to be more, but here's what's happened so far. Now, Spotify employs right around 10,000 people, most of them right here in the United States, but also a couple thousand employees over in Sweden. And I don't really use Spotify much. I find all the music I need on YouTube. YouTube pretty much has everything. And I guess if you're looking to cut costs and save yourself some money, there you go. Cancel your Spotify subscription and just find the song on YouTube and save the video in your playlist and just play the video, put on your headphones or your earbuds, and you've just saved yourself some money there instead of paying a subscription to Spotify to listen to music. Now, some more recent news on de-dollarization. We have Saudi Arabia out there now in talks about trading outside of the dollar for oil trade. And the Saudi Minister of Finance was on Bloomberg in a recent interview saying that, yes, they're in these talks with other countries. And here's the important part: Saudi Arabia is the world's largest exporter of oil right now. So that's very important when it comes to de-dollarization. We know that there's many countries coming together to basically ditch the dollar, trade outside the dollar. And when the dollar really starts tanking, that's when there's a bigger danger of even more massive inflation that we've already seen. Now, also, some of you may remember what we talked about in our last report. We talked about how countries, several countries are getting together, the BRICS nations and others, and reintegrating gold into their finance, into their monetary system. And what's happening now is Russia and Iran are coming out with a token, of course, that's digital token that's going to be gold backed. And I've always said here that I think that we're going to go back to hard money, gold and silver specifically, maybe even others, maybe copper. But I know at least gold and silver, in my opinion, are going to be reintegrated into the monetary system worldwide eventually here in the US, because I think we're going to have to jump on board with this as other countries continue to ditch the dollar. But I think it's going to be hard money, but it's going to be used on a digital system, something like crypto, with the blockchain behind it all. But the creation of money is going to be limited to the amount of physical precious metals that a country has on hand. That's what I think we're going to. And I think holders of precious metals, specifically silver, gold too, but my priority would be silver right now because you can get so much more silver for the price of gold. What's the ratio? About 80 to 1 right now, something like that. So I really think, and I believe that's where we're headed at into this monetary system. But there's going to be a lot of pain until we get there. But ultimately, if you're holding these hard assets, precious metals, you will be handsomely rewarded, in my opinion. Now, for those of you that are feeling a little down, a little bit gloomy about the financial situation, look at this. At least we're not this bad here. Venezuela's inflation slows to 234% in 2022. Inflation slowed to 234%. Imagine living in this type of inflation. And we have many countries now across the globe that are suffering the effects of this type of inflation. Not all this bad, but some others, still pretty bad. 100% a year, 50% per year. And here in America, we're still under 10%. If you look at the official number, the unofficial number, the real number, I think it's closer to 25% inflation. If you look at all the basket of goods and services that we have to buy here just to basically survive. But still, compared to what's happening in some other countries, like this country here, Venezuela, we know that we're still better off here in the United States. So for those of you feeling down and out and feeling depressed and stressed about the financial situation, here's more good news. It could be worse. Look at Venezuela. All right, so not all bad news today, folks. Crashing natural gas prices. Is this going to help you? Please let me know if you have natural gas supplying your heat in your home. If so, are you seeing your utility bill come down? Well, you may not have noticed it yet because prices have been crashing just recently, but maybe on your next bill, you'll notice that if you have natural gas supplying your home heat. Please let me know. Otherwise, what do you think about these other nations coming out looking to trade outside of the US dollar? More de-dollarization, more layoffs with the big Spotify announcement. So things are continuing to head in the direction that we think they're going to head, and economy deteriorating. But we're going to be ready for it. So keep stacking, folks. We're going to wrap this one up today. Big thank you to everybody for being here, and we'll talk to everybody very soon. Bye for now, and peace.